7 behaviors that make you command any conversation. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you could have positioned yourself better? Spoken less or spoken with more firmness? Sometimes it's not a lack of arguments. It's a lack of emotional control, clarity, and presence. The truth is, commanding a conversation has nothing to do with speaking louder, winning debates, or intimidating others. It's about posture, self-mastery, and a way of communicating that generates respect almost automatically. The problem is that no one teaches this in a practical way. We grow up hearing that we need to express ourselves more, when many times what's missing is knowing when to speak, how to speak, and when to stay silent. People with real authority rarely seem rushed, reactive, or emotionally unstable. They're grounded. They understand boundaries, and they use words as tools of influence, not as emotional release. In this content, you're going to learn simple, yet highly strategic behaviors that increase your credibility, your magnetism, and your power of persuasion in any environment, personal, professional, or social. This is not about changing who you are. It's about refining your body language, your emotional intelligence, and the way you occupy space. Apply this, and conversations change, and so does the way people see you. 1. Absolute emotional control. Maintaining absolute emotional control doesn't mean swallowing everything in silence. It means choosing when and how to respond. Those who react impulsively hand over control of the conversation on a silver platter. Those who pause, breathe, and choose their response preserve self-mastery, posture, and credibility. Emotions are like waves. If you ride them, you move forward. If you face them head-on, you fall. In practice, start by observing your emotional triggers and training small pauses before speaking. That simple gap already increases your presence, clarity, and authority. Not reacting to provocation, threats, or attempts to destabilize you is one of the strongest signals of confidence and power. External calm communicates firmness. Internal calm sustains your body language and your magnetism. A practical exercise. When someone tries to get under your skin, focus on your breathing and keep your voice steady, almost neutral. This confuses anyone expecting a reaction and reinforces your influence without raising your volume. In moments like this, strategic silence is worth more than any argument. See conflict as advanced emotional intelligence, training not as a personal attack. Every difficult situation is an opportunity to strengthen respect, control, and persuasion. Whoever stays calm, stays in control of the conversation, sets boundaries, and dictates the pace without apparent effort. A powerful habit is to mentally revisit past conflicts and ask yourself, where could I have responded with more clarity and less emotion? That reflection prepares you for something even more powerful. Taking command of dialogue without direct confrontation. 2. Breaking the rhythm of the conversation. Statement break question. Breaking the rhythm of a conversation is one of the most elegant ways to regain control without confrontation. When a conversation goes off track, an unexpected, well-placed question delivered with clarity changes everything. It demonstrates presence, authority, and high self-control. This isn't about being fast. It's about being strategic. A simple, "Can I ask you something before we continue?" already repositions you in control. Ignoring interruptions is also a powerful form of positioning. Instead of competing for space, continue your reasoning calmly, with open body language and a steady tone. This communicates self-respect, confidence, and clear boundaries. Practice this in simple situations, meetings, family conversations, even everyday interactions. The more you train, the more natural it becomes to hold your ground without increasing tension. Whoever controls the questions controls the conversation. And that is persuasion in its purest form. Well-crafted questions redirect focus, reveal intentions, and amplify your influence. Try reflective questions like, "What do you expect to happen from this?" Or, "What would be the best outcome for both of us?" This approach creates intelligent communication, activates magnetism, and sets the stage for aligning interests, which is the next natural step of any powerful conversation. 3. Aligning your interests with the other person's. True communication is always a two-way street, even when you need to exercise authority and set boundaries. Aligning interests is not about giving in. It's about understanding the game and playing it with emotional intelligence. When you show that you understand what the other person needs, your presence expands and resistance drops. A strong starting point is replacing rigid statements with open-ended questions, while maintaining clarity and firmness in your tone. This builds respect without sacrificing your position. Persuasion has nothing to do with being selfish in communication. On the contrary, people feel valued when they sense their needs are being considered, even if the final outcome isn't exactly what they imagined. In practice, try phrases like, "I understand what you're looking for," and "I see a way to align that with what we need." This communicates credibility, emotional control, and a high level of influence. Interestingly, the more heard someone feels, the more open they become to hearing you. Aligning interests also requires self-control, so the conversation doesn't turn into an ego battle. The focus shifts from me versus you to us versus the problem. This strengthens your posture, activates your magnetism, and creates more solid agreements. A simple exercise. Before any important conversation, write down, "What do I want?" and "What does the other person want?" This habit sharpens your persuasion and prepares you for something even deeper. Seeing the world through the other person's eyes. Foreseeing the world from the other person's perspective. Seeing the world from someone else's perspective is one of the clearest signs of emotional intelligence and presence. When you understand others' desires, fears, and expectations, your communication gains depth and your authority becomes natural. This isn't passive empathy. It's conscious strategy. People can feel when they're truly understood, and that instantly creates respect, credibility, and openness. To do this, asking clear questions is essential, especially when something isn't obvious. Avoid assumptions. Be direct, calm, and grounded, with relaxed yet attentive body language. Questions like, "What worries you most about this situation?" or "What would be a fair solution for you?" These reveal far more than long speeches. This approach increases your magnetism and strengthens your influence almost invisibly. Those who ask well lead effortlessly. This skill is decisive in social dynamics, professional relationships, and sales where persuasion depends far more on listening than on speaking. A powerful practice is observing everyday conversations and identifying what people truly mean beyond their words. Writing down these patterns refines your self-control and communication posture. The more you see the full picture, the easier it becomes to present paths, gains, and consequences, which leads us to the next step. 5. Showing gain and loss, incentive and consequence. Showing gain and loss is a sophisticated form of persuasion, not a disguised threat. When you clearly present two paths with calm firmness, you demonstrate authority, emotional control, and strong positioning. The key is to expose consequences neutrally, almost didactically, while maintaining posture and credibility. People respect logic, not pressure. Instead of telling someone what they should do, show what they gain by choosing one option and what they lose by choosing the other. For example, going this route saves time and reduces stress. The other one increases the risk of rework. Simple, direct, powerful. This reinforces boundaries without conflict and shows emotional intelligence at a high level. People are driven by the desire for gain and the fear of loss, even when they don't admit it. Knowing how to communicate this respectfully elevates your presence and amplifies your magnetism. A practical exercise. Before any decisive conversation, mentally list the real gains and losses involved. This helps you speak less, with more clarity and impact, preparing the ground for an even more advanced skill. 6. Turning problems into strategic advantage. Turning problems into strategic advantage goes far beyond finding something good in something bad. It's about facing adversity with self-mastery, presence, and a power-oriented mindset. When you do this, your posture changes, your authority grows, and your communication gains depth. Problems stop being obstacles and become resources. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" shift to, How can I use this in my favor? That question activates clarity, emotional control, and influence. In practice, after any difficult situation, write down 3 lessons and 1 possible future application. It could be a behavioral adjustment, a stronger argument, or a new positioning in similar conversations. This way, every challenge becomes training, not exhaustion. When you turn adversity into strength, you project magnetism and firmness without saying a word. People trust those who maintain presence and respect under pressure. This habit also refines your emotional intelligence because you stop reacting and start choosing. And that conscious choice prepares you for one of the most underestimated and powerful behaviors in communication. 7. Not fearing silence, speaking less. Silence is power, even though few people dare to use it. Speaking less isn't a lack of substance. It's a sign of self-mastery, presence, and emotional authority. When you respect your response time, you show emotional control and a grounded posture that doesn't bend under pressure. Think of silence as a filter. The less you speak, the more weight, clarity, and credibility each word carries. The right silence communicates more than long speeches. Thinking before responding prevents mistakes, reduces conflict, and reinforces boundaries. In difficult conversations, try listening until the end, breathing, and only then speaking, even if that creates a few seconds of silence. That pause creates discomfort in the other person while increasing your magnetism and influence. People associate pauses with inner security, not weakness. And those who project security naturally take control of interactions. Speaking less doesn't mean being cold, distant, or monosyllabic. The balance lies in being intentional, engaging, and strategic. It's not about becoming a robot. It's about refining your personality through body language, tone, and timing. A great exercise is reviewing past conversations and identifying moments where you spoke more than necessary. This final refinement closes the cycle. When you master emotions, rhythm, interests, perspective, consequences, adversity, and silence, your presence becomes impossible to ignore. Now that you know these behaviors, the question isn't whether they work. It's when you'll start using them consciously. In which conversations have you been reacting instead of leading? Where is clarity missing? Firmness? Or strategic silence? Small shifts in posture, emotional control, and presence completely transform how you're perceived. Powerful communication doesn't happen by chance. It's built decision by decision. Commanding a conversation isn't about defeating the other person. It's about positioning yourself, protecting your boundaries, and being heard with respect. When you develop self-mastery and emotional intelligence, your authority becomes natural. People listen more closely. Your words carry more weight, and your influence grows without visible effort. Most importantly, you remain yourself, just more strategic, confident, and aware of your power. So choose one of these behaviors and start today. Observe, adjust, test it in simple conversations, and evolve. Personal development isn't self-erasure. It's intelligent adaptation. If this content resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you can keep evolving your communication, your positioning, and your presence in every area of your life.